This week's report centers around a conundrum sometimes experienced when it comes to wildlife management. It came to my attention through a column by Wayne Pacelle in the Sacramento Bee, so I'll be sure to leave a link in the description below. I always do, by the way. As we've covered in a previous video, birds in North America are facing a tough time, and the challenges are stacked up against them pretty heavily in the near future. By some estimations, the Western Hemisphere has seen a decline of 3 billion birds since 1970. Among the birds facing difficulties, and holding a revered spot in the hearts of many, is the owl. There are actually more than 250 species of owls in the world, but one in particular has gotten itself into a little bit of trouble here in the US. The barred owl is native to the eastern part of the US, but began drifting away from its native territory at the beginning of the 20th century and has landed in the digs of the northern spotted owl in an area that encompasses parts of California, Oregon, and Washington state. In this region, they are considered an invasive species and are outcompeting the spotted owls, which are rapidly declining. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has come up with a 30-year plan for managing the barred owls by shooting them. This has raised the hackles of some in the bird-loving community, such as Pacelle, who sees the plan as a case of playing God in nature. Wild animals compete against one another, Pacelle wrote. They breed with one another. They angle for prey and space. It happens within families. It happens within species. It happens between species. That competition animates ecological systems. Is it realistic to think the federal government can micromanage these countless interactions? U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services previously documented that the great horned owl preys on spotted owls. Will that owl species be next on the hit list? For its part, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says its plan will affect less than 0.5% of the North American barred owl population. It also asserts that if something doesn't change soon, the spotted owls will be a thing of the past, and quite quickly. Barred owl removal, like all invasive species management, is not something the service takes lightly, said USFW Oregon Office State Supervisor Cassina Lee. The service has a legal responsibility to do all it can to prevent the extinction of the federally listed northern spotted owl and support its recovery, while also addressing significant threats to California spotted owls. In all fairness, there are programs in place to kill other invasive species like feral hogs, and you don't often hear complaints about taking out a mound of fire ants. But the barred owl is actually protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which makes this a contentious issue, and one likely to ruffle a few feathers for some time to come. Before we head out, there's a bit more uplifting news to report, but this one's rather brief. Michigan State University released 500 juvenile sturgeons into the Saginaw River system a couple weeks back. Working with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources for more than 20 years, the Black Lake Streamside rearing facility was opened with the goal of revitalizing the sturgeon population in the area, and that's exactly what they're doing, preventing another species from going extinct. Now, these are not the most beautiful fish in the world, but they are prehistoric relics. The lake sturgeon, which is the variety being helped along by MSU, can grow up to 240 pounds and more than 7 feet in length. This program has doubled the population of lake sturgeons in Black Lake, where it is located, and has contributed a large number of fish to other bodies of water in Michigan as well. And when it comes to endangered species, we'll take good news wherever we can find it. Don't stop here. Find out more. Visit the links in the description below for more in-depth information on the stories presented in this video. Or if you are a part of a wildlife organization doing something interesting right now, let us know in the comments.